Well, for more on the Paris attacks, I'm joined by Nuno Pinto. He's the editor of Sabado, a weekly news magazine in Portugal, and he's currently covering the attacks in Paris. Nuno, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Nuno, let me ask you, as a Parisian, or living in Paris actually, amongst Parisians, tell me, do you think they will change their way of life, given that many of these attacks, or a couple of them, happened in intimate settings?
No, I don't think so, because I spent the afternoon in the surrounding area of the attacks, and I spoke with several of French people, and they were very determined. They were shocked, but they were also very determined, and they don't want to change their way of life, because that will mean that the terrorists have won. They refuse to live in fear, because that's the goal of this kind of attacks.
Was there a feeling among the Parisians that after what happened at Charlie Hebdo, that this would reoccur, that this would happen again, they would be under attack?
Yes, I believe that if it's not a question of if, but it's more than a question of when it will happen, because we all know, we are all aware of the situation in Syria. We are all aware of the foreign fighter mobilization to the conflict, and the latest estimates indicate that about 30,000 foreigners have went to Syria to fight for ISIS or for one of the other groups that are affiliated, but French has a large problem amongst European countries. Almost 2,000 French went to Syria to fight. That means that it's the biggest in terms of percentage of European countries of foreign fighters that went to the conflict. And among them, several of them have returned, and there are several of them that we don't know where they are currently.
Well, Nuno, as you know, there are reports that one of the attackers had a Syrian passport, apparently very easy to get your hands on right now. Tell us, do you feel like the Schengen Agreement, which allows for passport-free travel between most EU states and some non-member states now, will survive? I mean, what are people telling you there?
The Schengen Agreement is a bit like a base of European Union, the freedom of movement, freedom of commerce. I don't think that it will be affected. I think that the answer might be a reinforcement of the borders, but the borders outside the European Union, not inside. To your correspondent, we're saying that there's much more intelligence, more means for intelligence to gather information about this kind of people. But the difficulty is here that, imagine this, the French authorities are focused on the French nationals. But if a Belgian or a Switzerland or a Portuguese decides to commit an attack in France, it will be harder to detect. So the key is to exchange information between the intelligence community. Because I mean, this freedom of movement, I don't think it will disappear. It will have to be a reinforcement of the vigilance outside the European area. And with the refugee crisis going on, there's a serious concern about what might happen in the near future.
Do people question there how this attack was carried out right under the nose of French police and intelligence, Nuno?
It's really hard for police and intelligence to prevent this kind of attacks. They have prevented several attacks in the last couple of months for the information that we have collected. But imagine that to follow a suspect, for instance, for 24 hours, you would need like 20 agents, 24 hours a day, to follow him in plain view, to monitor their communications. It's how would I say this? It will need much money and several means for not means but resources. I was missing the word. The intelligence community needs to have thousands, millions of euros and several resources to manage to survey, to prevent all the areas where this might occur.